Lancel here for Let's Discuss with Lancel. Happy to welcome Daniel from Lake of Tears. New album, Ominous, coming out February 19th on AFM Records. Skyping in from Sweden tonight. I've heard a copy of this, Daniel. Fantastic album.
Very nice to hear.
First release in 10 years.
Yes.
You've taken a little time with this.
Quite a lot of time, actually.
But you wanted to get it right, obviously. Or
Yes.
did it just sort of come to you? As you know, you weren't going to rush it anyway.
No, after a couple of years there, I realized that there was really no need to rush this. It's better to take the time I needed for it.
Mm-hmm. I tell you, I read the little note that came with it and everything about the gray days and dark nights and everything. So yesterday I have a job where I have to drive a lot, and it was a very gray, ominous day. Wind blowing, snow, mist, everything else. I was driving through some desolate areas. I said, this is the perfect time to play this album. And I tell you, it was a fantastic soundtrack for my drive.
Very cool to hear.
Yeah, very cool. Tell us a little bit about the recording of it. You basically did just about everything yourself. You had Christian on drums and another gentleman on bass, correct?
Yes, and a guy named Vesa on the bass.
Yeah.
Christian on the drums, and a guy named Lars on upright bass for the bonus track.
Okay.
And then me for the rest.
Okay. Now, Christian also helped you produce, correct?
Yes, more like for this one, we actually decided that I would be credited as the only producer. But of course, he's a studio guy. He's been working in the studio for like 30 years or something. So I think he should be credited as a co-producer at least.
Mm-hmm.
Actually.
And then it was mastered. I'm having a little bit of trouble with some of these names. I know the first name is Jens, is it?
No, this one was mastered in Studio Mega, where it was recorded. The last one was mastered by Jens in this studio. So I've seen some info out there where this has been standing. So probably you gotten.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And you also had a couple of other people help you. Is it John Silver?
Yes, it's actually Christian Silver is the main guy behind the studio desk, but he's owning the studio together with a guy called Manne Engström.
Okay, that was another name I had.
Yeah, who's been doing the mastering. And Jon is actually Christian's son, and last time I saw him, he was like, I don't know, 7-8 years, and now he was like 20 years and old and 2 meters long. So he helped out doing some tracking while his father was playing the drums.
Oh, cool. Very cool. The artwork is fantastic. Tell us a little bit about that. Is it Vladimir?
Yes, it's Vladimir.
Yeah.
Well, what can I say? My first idea for this artwork, of course, I wanted the artwork to fit together with the music. And my first idea for this that I had, I think it must have been like 10 years ago or something, was these two monsters. And for me, these are symbolic for illness, that's the ominous 1 monster, and depression, that's the ominous 2 monsters. So I knew quite early in the process that this was like the main piece in the story, the central piece, so to say.
Mm-hmm. And then you've got another layer in the story as well with a cosmonaut.
Yes.
Yeah. How did that come about?
Well, the actual lowest layer on a story level is from me writing from inside, illness and depression. That's how I like to see this record first and foremost. So that's like the underlying layer. But this is a very tricky. It's a very tricky thing to to put into, let's say, popular music, because if you would do these things with only sound, it can be like all over the place and more like art music, tuning frequencies and stuff. So I wanted to make a layer upon this kind of psychological layer that is more linear story. So I took like moments from these times and try to put them together into a linear aspect, and then also involve Cosmos, since I like that in some way.
Sure. You've got 2 videos out, and this is going to be the end of it with the 2 videos, and I agree with you 100%. This album really needs to be taken in as a whole. It's nice to have the videos, to have a little bit of a visual, let's say.
Yeah.
But really, you've got to listen to this front to back. I mean, this is, it's like trying to pull something out of, Dark Side of the Moon or something like that, But the videos are fantastic. Did you have a hand in making the videos as well?
I had a hand in telling them about the concept. I'm not totally satisfied with all the details, but I think the actual idea comes through in a way that I wanted it to do.
Yeah. Let's go through. I made some notes. I listened to it, a couple of times. I made some notes on a few of the tracks last night. And I love the way this, again, I'll go with the Floyd reference, because the way you segue the songs, there's not a whole lot there's no real break. They flow all right together.
Yes.
Brilliantly. How much time did it take you to get into the track listing that you wanted to do, the running order of everything? Did you know it from top to bottom as you were doing it, or did you kind of shuffle things around?
For the songs, I had most of the order actually quite a long time ago, but some of the songs have been changed and some of the riffs have been changed a little bit. But the main order was there. There were some songs were of course not totally filled back then, so it has been quite a challenging process actually to get this. To fit together, and it's very nice to hear you say that, this flowing thing, because that's an aspect that I wanted to put in there. Like, I think it's coming more from the cinematical musical stuff, where when I listened to the record or when I did it, I was actually thinking more about which tempo does your breath come in now, and which tempo does your heartbeat come into this part, instead of like writing the usually verse refrain stuff.
Yeah. Did you write the songs in the sequence they are on the album, or
no?
It's like track 1 written and then maybe track 7 and then you went to track 3 and then you sequenced after?
They came in different orders, since they are based on different emotions. So no, they were not written sequentially like this.
Okay. I mean, I guess I pay a lot of attention to, how albums flow and how songs are segued. It goes back to I'm not a musician in any stretch of the imagination, but I was a disc jockey for a long time. And even when I was doing radio and when I was doing dances and parties, you had to pay attention as to how the music flowed. And I always thought it was very important. And I pay a lot of attention to that now when I listen to an album, That's second nature to me. Track 1, At the Destination, a great opener. I love the spoken word. And then, boy, does it take off from there. That's a great track. Can you tell us a little bit about, was that one of the earlier ones, one of the later ones?
That was one of the earlier ones. Actually, that one was pretty clear in my head quite early, because this is more like an intro. It takes you to a certain place where I could play out this story, because to like play out the story in my living room would feel a bit stupid. So the main purpose of this song is to like get you in some kind of get you into some kind of empty state, but also at the same time there are these alarming songs to give you some creepy feelings in it. But the main reason is to take you somewhere where we can continue with the story.
Yeah, fantastic opener. And then track 2 in Weight and Worries, that is probably, as I was listening, I'm like thinking this is a little early to pick my favorite track. It definitely struck a chord with me. The sparseness and everything, because there's other stuff in here. The two words I would use to describe this album is density and depth. There's so much density and so much depth, and in the sounds. This one was a little more sparser, and I love this track. Just love the way it made me feel physically, and I love the sound of it. Everything. Can you tell me a little bit about that one?
Well, it's a kind of also like it's a mixture between intro and the rest of the record, because it's a continuation of the first song, and this is like we have gotten there after, I don't know, a long time, and it has been night all time, but so I still wanted to take the feeling down a little bit, the rhythm down after the first track. The first track is to give you a little pulse, and then to take you down and get into this really empty space mood.
You did it. You did it. You succeeded. Track 3, Lost in a Moment. Did I detect a slight nod to Bowie in that one, David Bowie?
Yes, in the lyrics there is a phrase that could be found in Bowie. Yes.
Yeah. Are you a big David Bowie fan, or just you thought that would fit in there?
Not really. I mean, I've always thought that Bowie have written many good songs, but I'm not like a really big Bowie fan. But I remember people already told me from the first song that they heard some of the Bowie stuff in there. This kind of feeling going into space. I guess it's probably because that's so well known.
Yeah, definitely. Tracks 4 and 5, Ominous 1 and Ominous 2. There's one where the segue just really hit me, because Ominous 1 was, a very up-tempo, hard, rocking song, and then Ominous 2 just dropped right down, and the word I have here is melancholy. I loved the way those two tracks came together in the segue. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, very good. And then track 6, One Without Dreams. My note here says a heavy nightmare of a song. I mean, that's dark right there. I thought that was the interpretation I got. A little about that one, maybe?
Well, that is quite a tricky one, because this one is more like abstract, I think, at least in my head. But it was quite difficult to continue the story after the meeting with these two monsters. I mean, to back up a little bit to the Ominous songs, just they were quite challenging, because I wanted the first monster to be this aggressive one, and the second monster to be this creeping into your mind person. And then of course it was quite hard to find out where to go after this. They had come and had their impact. But I knew that it was going to be like a vast, bleak place where there is some kind of maybe more abstract kind of losing oxygen or whatever, getting into being dissolved in some way after that you have got broken down by these two monsters. The first one breaks your body, and the second one, it goes to your mind, and then you're just empty, and you don't really know where to go.
The End of the World, I was at first surprised with an instrumental, and then afterwards I said, no, I'm not. I think this sort of fits. Did you have in mind to have an instrumental when you started this, or is this something that just sort of happened?
This happened after a while. Actually, I had another song in this position first, which I removed because it wasn't quite suitable. But when I got this one, it's actually a very simple song. It just two basic chords, and they changed and they change in half of the song. So it's like a bridge between the previous song going into the next song, and I think you can hear it quite clearly that it changes in there. And this is also the like more abstract thematic thing. I wanted to continue this more abstract thing, so I think a a song without vocals here was actually a good idea.
Yeah. The last track, at least in the story, because In Gloom is sort of just a bonus track, correct?
Yes.
So the last track in sort of the story here, Cosmic Sailor, just an epic track, and I thought that was a very interesting fade out.
Yes.
As well. How did that come out? You know, I was particularly intrigued by that.
By the fade out, by the outro.
Yeah. The
Okay.
outro.
Actually, I wanted to keep some secrets at least for some time, not to give out too much. But that one is coming from a certain place. I think it's mostly based on when I was feeling really down. There was not like much stuff that was helping, but I found some of this music, this natural kind of frequencies that were very healing for me, like getting me into meditative states. So there's a little bit of that actually I wanted to put into this record, and just to give out some small things there. That's a binaural, two binaural sinus waves. Coming with a theta frequency in between them, so it's a psychological experiment, really.
Oh, okay.
There are actually some people that can feel a little bit sick from this frequency. I won't tell you about the frequency. You will have to get some measurement too. But this frequency is also a very special old frequency.
Interesting. Very interesting stuff. You talk about how, this sort of helped you out, sort of a healing thing in making this album. Was it sort of a catharsis? Did it bring you the healing, throughout it? How are you doing now, now that it's all out and everything?
How am I doing now? I have a chronic leukemia, so it will never go away, but it will be in check, I think, quite okay. There shouldn't be any bigger problems if nothing like happens, that I get another disease of some kind that makes it worse. Sorry, I forgot the question.
Did you find making this album and putting it out and creating it as to be a bit of a catharsis for you?
Oh, well, very much. After the initial things, when you start thinking about writing a record and you feel that you have a blank paper, it's quite difficult in the beginning, basically. But after a while, when some of the parts, some of the ideas got together, it was like really great moments for me. These were my like lights in this total darkness that I felt I had for many years. So this was especially after a while when the story had gotten so far so that it didn't like drain energy out of me to fill it, but instead it was filling me with energy while I was working with it.
Yeah, definitely. Track 9, In Gloom, which is sort of the bonus track. To me, I made a note here. It's like if you combined, do you know who Robert Johnson is? The blues guitarist from the 30s, way back?
No.
To me, if you took a Robert Johnson song and crossed it with Leonard Cohen, just a vintage sounding track here. It was very, very cool. Like you say, it was just sort of I don't know what you would even call it, like dessert to have after the main course, Great track. How did that one come about?
I don't remember exactly, but I think it started with the violins in there. I got this melody in my head, and I just felt that this track was too good to be left out, so I wanted to have it on the record, but it is not really a part of the story. That's why I call it the bonus track there. Yeah. So I know some people have already been confused about that and asking me, what's the name of the bonus track? Is it only in Japan or something? No, it's just a regular song, but it's too good to be left out.
Yeah. I think I saw this. I'm trying to figure out where. I have a note here, and I think I saw you put it on your Facebook page, maybe on a post. Something to do with somebody named Boris is it Radonov? You said
Oh,
everybody needs a
yeah.
Boris.
Yes, Boris.
Who is Boris?
Well, Boris is a Russian guy who I met the first time. It was, I guess, about 10 years ago, something. They were helping out while we were doing some shows in Russia, and it comes clear that Boris has the biggest Lake of Tears collection in the whole world.
Wow.
He has everything, and he constantly sending me small things, from Chinese stuff that he has been buying, or links to articles or reviews or stuff like this. So so everybody should have a Boris, because some days when you just don't feel good, there may be coming some funny stuff from him.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, I agree. Everyone needs a Boris.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are you well versed? The cosmonaut part of this and the science fiction part, the way those videos came about. Have you well versed in science fiction? Are you a big sci-fi fan?
Quite big, not really big. I mean, you cannot really ask me about details about sci-fi things, but not on that level. Of course, I'm fascinated by the theme, so to say, but I'm not really into it that deep.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite movie or book or author that you go to when you're in a science fiction kind of mood?
Maybe not science fiction, but I still have a passion for an old philosopher called Schopenhauer. I don't know if you heard about him. He has a fantastic book that I've started to read it a couple of times, but I've never gotten through it. It's very difficult, but it's still a source of inspiration for me, and it's on an even deeper level than science fiction, because it's a philosophical thoughts about how the world is. It's actually one thought, as he mentions it through the whole book, but it's there's some really amazing stuff in there. So that's my kind of science fiction.
Fascinating. Just to go back, I couldn't find a whole lot on your background. So I guess we'll go back to the beginning. What got you into music to start with, way, way back when you were first finding your way, so to speak?
My first entrance into the music world, into the kind of music that I really felt for or felt connected with, was already when I was a little guy building this Lego stuff with a friend, and his brother he always played Scorpions and Kiss and Iron Maiden and stuff like that. So I think that's where I myself, went back home, wanted a vinyl player, and took my bicycle to ride to buy my first Kiss albums. So that's like when I really got hooked into music. So it was the hard rock stuff, rock metal stuff, and then it grew through the 80s with all these new and I think harder bands, and we came to the death metal era when that started to come in the late 80s, and I think that's was the point that made me and a couple of my friends want to make our own music, play our own instruments. So you can say that I think the death metal era was actually where we entered into the music making business.
And you speak of that, and I did read that part of it, and I thought at times on a couple of the harder songs here, mostly like maybe in the bass lines or something, I heard a slight death metal element there. Nothing over the top, just it was real subtle. Did you incorporate any of it into this, or have you totally moved on from that now? Am I just hearing things?
Not like if it is there, it's more by accident, because I didn't have any like thoughts about putting death metal stuff into it actually.
Yeah. I thought I just heard a slight, just a slight element. Like I said, it was nothing over the top or anything like that. But
could be, because Veso played the bass. He's also been playing in death metal in a band called Evocation for many years. So maybe it's something in his playing style. But actually quite easy bass parts also. So maybe that's also.
So the album is coming out on AFM Records February 19th. Once again, we're talking with Daniel here, mastermind behind Lake of Tears album Ominous, coming out February 19th on AFM. I'm assuming the situation in Sweden with the virus and everything, and of course you've got, the conditions and everything. What are things like over there? Is everything still in lockdown or everything? Or I'm assuming you're in lockdown, probably, correct?
No, we actually almost didn't have any lockdown here. I think since Sweden is such a big country to space compared to the people living here, I guess they thought they could manage this in some ways. So we only had like minor things, with this, you cannot gather more than I don't know what it is now actually. But actually for me, I'm getting more and more I don't know, introvert or isolated in my days anyways. So for me, it actually hasn't changed that much. And as I said the other day in another interview, it's almost, I wouldn't say that it's a good thing, because it really isn't. Such a thing is a terrible thing. But this part of it that makes I almost felt that it could have been like autumn for a year in some people's minds, and I really like that, because the discussions and conversations they land on in another place now than they did before.
Yeah, definitely. So you've got this out. I'm not trying to rush you or anything. I mean, particularly after the amount of time that you put into making this album. Do you have anything musically going forward, or are you taking a little bit of a break now that this is coming out? What's your future plans?
Oh, actually, I think I'm quite excited, because I have many future plans, both music-wise. I'm doing some orchestral stuff, which I found I'm really passionate about. I've only been doing it for like 1.5, 2 years, so it's kind of new to me. That's really interesting. And I have a band with Vesa, who played the bass, called Djävul, DJVL, and we will probably do a couple of songs. That will probably be the first thing I will do now. And then I also have some ideas to further expand upon this Cosmic Sailor in some way, but I really hope that it can bring me more hope for the rest of my life in some way, because there is some hope in Ominous also. At the end, you can feel it, and if you see in the picture, you can see there are some colors in there also.
Right. Yeah.
But I think I want to find something more hopeful, something more that can be guiding me. And I'm always looking ever since I read Schopenhauer, actually, I'm always looking for a deeper meaning in music. So I'm also expanding my studying within the fields of music and in several different ways. And I think actually we will see what that will become. If it be like more like art music, or if it still will be like popular music in some way, but I think to dive deeper into frequencies and like almost sacred mathematics behind it all, it's also a very stimulating thing.
Well, however it comes out, I'm sure it's going to be great. This album was, like I said, just a fantastic bit of music. Again, I go to this density and depth of the music. It's really, really good. Once again, we're talking about the Lake of Tears album, Ominous. I keep wanting to say Anonymous. It's not that. It's Ominous, coming out on AFM Records on February 19th. We're talking to Daniel. Daniel, I always like to end up with just some fun, silly questions, maybe questions you haven't even been asked before. Does it sound good?
No, let's see.
Okay. Other than your own, what is the last bit of music you listened to?
Oh, I think it's right now an Italian composer named Scelti. I can't remember the title of it, but you should check him out. He's a really weirdo.
Okay. You sort of answered this earlier, but I want to ask just in case it was something else. Favorite toy growing up as a child? Was it the Legos, or would you have something else?
Well, Lego, I think, was one of them, especially with my friend Morgan, he was his name, because he had a shitload of Lego, and a really cool Lego.
Yeah, very cool. Is there something outside of music that you're good at? Are you like a good, I don't know, gardener, woodworker, auto mechanic, something like that?
I must say mathematics and logic probably then, because that was my, even before I fell into my passion for music. Have a passion for computers, so I think that the mathematical logical side was something I realized quite early.
Nice. Do you have a favorite superhero?
No, I don't
No,
think so.
Batman or Superman or somebody sci-fi, anything like that?
No, I don't really think I have a favorite there. At least not now. I'm sure I had several when I was younger, but
Favorite class in school?
favorite class in school. Well, it could have been. Oh, school wasn't really nice. Maybe mathematics. That sounds a bit boring but that would have to be on a later stage in life when you really get to the philosophical side of the things, because then it could be mathematics.
Okay. Last one, and this is the one we sort of have fun with. If they were to make a movie of your life, what actor would you have portray you in the movie?
Oh my God.
And it's your movie, your life. You can pick anybody.
Pick a good-looking one or
whoever you'd like.
I mean, I would like someone good-looking, perhaps, but I think they would actually pick some 50-year-old, quite fat dude. I don't know if we have any of those.
We'll find one and go with that. Very good. Well, Daniel, I thank you very, very much for taking the time to talk to me. Once again, this is Lance Hall for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall, talking with Daniel from Lake of Tears, the album Ominous, coming out on AFM Records February 19th. Buy it. Check out the 2 videos on YouTube for a little sampler. But really, if you're going to listen to this album, you've got to listen to it top to bottom, front to back. It's awesome. Great job, Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.